Hi everyone, thanks for watching the video today. My videos are filmed live and I do not edit them yet. So it's just going to be like my crafting on the fly show, only it shouldn't take as long as a live show, and hopefully everything will go great and I hope you like it. We are going to do some mini slimline cards over the next couple videos. This one here is featuring the Stampin' Up! Bundle Rainbow of Happiness. Rainbows, of course, are huge in our crafting world right now. The colors, the rainbow ombre, the rainbow stamps, unicorns, rainbow mermaids, everything's rainbows, right? So if you don't have a rainbow set, this is a pretty good one to get. I love it. And it has a lot of options. So I want to show you though how to use things that you don't think you would normally use in the bundle. For example, this card here, it's a very simple design, but it works. It's easy to make and it's fun. It's got the stamping, die cutting, embossing. It has all things in one, and of course, a nice sentiment on the inside. So let's look at this bundle here and see how did we get those shapes. So first of all, these are all the scraps I keep from cutting out die cuts for different die sets because they make cool shapes and you can use them for other things. So I keep those. So poof, that was fun. Here is the die set for this bundle. So you've got this little rainbow here, and what I like to do when I get a new die set, since I'm not always quite sure how they're going to cut, I do cut templates of what looks like a funky die. So for example, I wanted to know what this would look like before I actually cut it out for a card. So it's going to cut out the rows of rainbow. So keep that in mind. So I keep this so I know. And then this one, this is fun. This is a little tag. So if you're into journaling, that's a fun little tag to slide into a pocket. That can make ornaments. You can do so much with little tags. And that is the design used on this card. Now you wouldn't realize, right, that it was from a rainbow die set. So my point for doing this card is you open up the die set, you see all these fun dies, and then you're like, what the heck do I do with this? Well, when you don't know what to do with the die, you cut 3 of them and you make a card. There you go. So let's take that die out. And then here's the stamps. Oops, there goes my hearts. Got my little hearts out here. They slid right out because I was using them. I didn't put them back. And they're super sticky. You guys know photopolymer stamps, man. Whew. So here's the stamp set. You've got rows to stamp different colors of the rainbow. You've got sentiments that go in the rainbow shape. It's a really fun, versatile set. So all we need though to make this card is our funky tag die and whatever stamps you chose to use. On here you see I used the hearts. I used the square shaped sentiment in there and the rainbow sentiment on the inside. Now, let's look at another easy trick to get a designer look on your card when you don't know what to do with these weird shapes and things. Let's look at this paper. Now you could ombre this, you could ink this, you could paint this two-tone paper, but you could also look into your paper pad and find paper that would make a design that you like, but maybe you're not too great at ink blending. So you look through a paper pad and say, what could I find? What could I find? Let's look on the other side. This is also a Stampin' Up! Pad of paper. This is new. This is a 4x6. So these are great for slimline cards because you can basically use the whole paper and then trim it down as you want. So flipping through, you'll see, oh, hey, look at that. That is the paper that I used for this. So I found a already rainbow colored paper. It fits my funny shaped die. So that has already taken the work out of this card for me. So that's cool. those away. All right, next we're going to need the background. The background is just a scrap of cardstock, and you can see it has been cut with a frame, a 1/4 inch frame around the perimeter, so it's a 1/4 inch smaller than our card base. So when we find our scrap of cardstock, we just need to make sure that it's going to be the size to fit the face of our cards. So let's look through our scraps, and this is my binder of scraps. And we're going to be using this paper. So let's see what works. This is a pretty color. Let's see if we have enough of this. Ooh, I don't know if we do. We do. Look, do you see the length on that? We just need to trim down that side. And that would be perfect. Wouldn't that be pretty? I think we'll do that. All right, and the next thing we need is the card base. So that was easy. So, you know, there's no point in having these fun things if you can't use them. And there's no point in having all these papers if you don't use them, right? So let the paper design the card for you. See how easy that is? We didn't have to put any work into that. So let's get started on the card base. You can make a mini slimline card any size you want, as long as you make the envelopes to match, of course. Traditionally, the card base for mini slimlines are 6x6. So if you're a previous scrapbooker who has the 12x12 neutral cardstocks, this is a perfect thing. This is the perfect way to transition you from scrapbooking into card making, or to further your paper experience. Just take your 12x12 plain cardstocks and cut them into 4s. Fold each one of those 4s in half, and you've got 4 slimline cards, mini slimline cards. But I don't have any 12x12, so we're going to cut up a piece of colored cardstock. And here is my Stampin' Up! Selection of cardstocks. So remember, we're using these colors. This is, I can't remember the names of all the colors, but I thought it would be really, really sharp to use. I think this is called Coastal Cabana. Wouldn't those be pretty all together? So let's make our card base out of that. All right. So this is really simple. This is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. And you do want to make your cardstock, your bases out of cardstock so they're sturdy. If you're going to make them out of designer paper or colored cardstocks, just make sure it's a good heavy weight. So keep that in mind. All right, 6x6. I always set my scraps off to the side the way that they come out of the machine, so if I need them, I know exactly where they are. All right, there's our card base. Next, you want to fold this in half. You could use your scoring wheel on your scoring board, or a scoring board if you have it. I don't like to use a scoring wheel for putting the score line in to fold my cards, because when it crushes the fibers down the middle, it actually shrinks one side of your card, whichever way the wheel is, whichever way you have the cardstock in and the wheel is coming in, it will literally pull the fibers in. So you'll end up with a card when it's folded where the ends don't quite match. So I prefer to give it a little massage. All right, just to get the fibers moving here, because this is a pretty thick cardstock. And then I just very lightly get the edges to touch each other. Roll it right up to the edges. Hold those down, and then I just gently press back towards the crease. Use the flat end of my bone folder to further that crease. Get the glitter off, because I'm not sure why the glitter's on there. and then give it a good burnish. And you still get a very nice, perfect crease, and both ends of your card are the same. All right. Next, we are going to make our decorative layer. So this is about the same exact size we needed. We just need to straighten out this end. So you can measure or just be like me, eyeball it. You've seen me on my live shows, you know, I just eyeball things because life is too short to be ruled by a ruler, and it's no fun when you got to start measuring things. Plus, you become a better artist if you learn to do it on your own. All right, so we got that straightened out. Now, let's make this fit. So this is now smaller than our card face. I'll move in for you. So what we're going to do is make sure that the top that's showing of the card base is the same as the bottom. And then we're going to make sure that the width here is about the same width showing there. And then we're going to visualize this distance over onto this side. So whatever this distance is, we're going to come up here and bring it in, because this is where we're going to cut off the orange. Okay? And that is how you use a scrap to eyeball and create a perfect fitting card face layer. And yes, I now keep these thin strips to make sentiments on. That's a whole other show. All right, and there we go. We have a very colorful background for our embellishments. So let's get this embossed. Now, because we're doing mini slimline card, I am also going to be using my Stampin' Up! Mini or slimline embossing folders. And you can see that there's a regular size embossing folder. Here is the slimline, so it is smaller. So we're going to use that. And I will zoom out so you guys can watch this embossing process here. Each machine is different out there in the world. I have the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So the plates have directional numbers on them. So you look for, here's one. And then there's two different types of embossing plates. There is one for 3D embossing folders and one for regular size embossing folders. 3D embossing folders is plate 4 because it's thinner to make up room for the thickness of the 3D. And for a regular embossing folder, plate number 3 is thicker to make up the space that's not there from the 3D. So you can see also the picture. There is plate number 1, your embossing folder with the cardstock, and then plate number 3 goes on top. We are going to be using polka dots here. I thought polka dots were fun for all these colors, so we just sit that in there. There is a line to show you where to line that up, or at least not to go past that, so you get the most of your embossing here. And I also still will visualize where the cardstock lands with all those other dots in there to make sure that it looks okay. There we go. All right, so that will go on our plate and our sandwich, and embossing folders go folded edge in to the machine. And I just gently feed it in and crank away. I'm going to put this aside for a moment because we're going to use that again shortly. And I try to keep my workspace cleaned up all the time as I go because it's very small. Here we go. You ready? Big reveal. Look at that. Isn't that fun? Always so much fun just to do a little embossing. Every now and then. All right, so there's our card base. There's our layer. Next, we're going to cut out our 3 little colorful tags. Let's look at our color scheme here. So on this card, I used the pink and the blue with the yellow background. I think for this card, it would be pretty to use pink and yellow, and then the blue and the blue. All right, so let's cut those out. Now, these are gonna go in our cut and emboss machine again, and since it's a mini machine, you gotta make sure that the paper is going to fit in the machine. So here's my plate sandwich for my die cutting. I also have some purple tape. This is to hold the die down. It is not a magnetic board here, so it does need to be taped down with some semi-permanent tape. I prefer painter's tape, but I could not find any. I thought I bought some. I really did thought I bought some. All right, so what we're gonna do is, obviously our paper is too big to fit through the machine. This plate is the width of the machine. So always measure your pieces and your papers before you put them in your die cutting machines. Measure twice, cut once, right? Dad was right. He's always right, wasn't he? So I am going to, this is where I want this cut. So I'm going to give it a little bit of room, just in case it slips or I slip. And I'm going to cut this cardstock down the middle. Now, again, depending on your machine, pay attention to how your sandwich goes. We could do yellow on top and pink on the bottom, but we're going to be stamping, so I want the lighter of the two colors on the bottom of our tag, so the stamping will show up. And I put the tape not inside the die where that's going to show on our finished card, but the majority of the tape on the outside of the die, so that if it sticks pretty bad, it won't rip off the fibers of what we're going to see in our finished product. Okay, so let's bring our machine back. And yes, the cracking is a good thing. That means the acrylic plates are doing their job. They bend and they crack and snap, but they will not break. And give that a little flick. There we go. We have one of our tags for our card. And we'll untape this. I'm untaping it carefully because I want to be able to reuse these colors there. There we go. Okay. In fact, you know, let's just use this one now since we're going to do one of the tags blue anyways. And again, we're going to be stamping on the lighter of the two colors. So we'll put the die simply on like that. There we go. There's our tag number 2. And just a tip, when you're die cutting and you have a die taped to cardstock, make sure you remove your die every time you're done die cutting so you don't accidentally throw it in the trash or in the scrap pile with everything else. Okay, and our last tag is the pink and the yellow one again. And that will go right there. we are now done with our cutting and embossing. So I'll put that away, give myself some elbow room here. And remove this. And again, I'm removing it carefully just so I can reuse that cardstock if I want. I'll just keep my scraps out until I'm officially done with my project I'm working on, because I might want to add some more details. And I cut off the unusable weird shapes and just keep what's usable. So there is our die. And I am saving the little scraps of my purple tape. The more you use it, the less sticky it gets, so that's even better for your die cutting. And pop out those, look at all these little, you can make a little rainbow with these if you wanted on your card, if you really needed to or wanted to. That's a lot of work, but hey, go for it. All right, here's our papers. Now, next is the stamping. Always remember, stamp whatever it is you need to stamp before you assemble your project, okay? Because once it's attached, and these are attached with foam dimensionals, so once they're attached, you're gonna get some lumpy, bumpy stamping. All right, so stamp, assemble. Okay, now I've got my paper mat, which works as a good stamping mat. If you don't have a mat, then use your stamping platform, because these are a photopolymer stamp and they need something soft to squish into to get that good firm adherence of the ink to the paper. Wood block rubber stamps or just the red foam stamps don't need that because they are already thick and foamy, so you're good to go. But these are not. All right, let's pick out our inks. I think we should do the brightest pink I have, which is Magenta Madness. And that one we're gonna do the little hearts on. So let's get our stamp block. Oop, that's a big one. Don't need it to be that big. Got a little one here. So the hearts, now if you'll notice, what I did just for fun, here's the little hearts. And what I did on the card is I pointed them this way so they're coming in, and then this way so they're coming in. I thought that was cute. So let's do that. And I don't have the little tiny blocks, which I really want to get. So I stick these in these little stamps in the corner of my stamp blocks. And also, when you have a stamp pad that's large and you're used to stamping all in the middle, keep in mind that that sucks the ink out of the middle, but it's still really juicy around the edge. So when you've got these little stamps, hit it in the corner there, because that's really going to pick it up. Also, whatever you get on your acrylic block, wipe that off because it will come out unless you're using your stamp platform. All right, and let's point our little hearts this way. There they are. Wasn't that easy and fun? Yes, always. Let's get some more juice. A little pink heart juice here. And let's stamp them the other way so they're going to face each other. Boop, there we are. And also, you gotta have your Stampin' Chamois to clean these off. I really have made it a point. This is my second year in a row where I made a commitment, not a New Year's resolution, but a commitment to always clean my stamp after I use it before I set it to the side. Number one, because I have a very small work surface, very small. Number two, I have a very small work surface, very small. Okay, and things will get lost and fall off and stick to cats and wander around the house, and then I'll be a horrible cat mom and life will be hard for everybody. Okay, so next we're going to stamp the sentiment on the middle, and that's this one. I called it a square, but it's really not a square, but it fits in that nice little square shape of our tag. See right there? Let's see. Here it is. It just fits so nice in there. And so, what color did I use? Oh, I think that was this one. I think it's Night of Navy. I usually do use my stamping platform for all of my stamping. However, for these little ones, I don't. I figure if I can't do a stamp this small, well, then I should probably put myself back in like stamping school or something. I'm not sure. I don't know. I just feel like, you know what? I got this. And yes, I did turn mine sideways because that it just helps me see things. There we go. A little something to brighten your day. Isn't that cute? Cute, cute, cute. Wipe off the stamp. I used to not keep everything clean. I used to spread out, but I also used to have the entire length of the upstairs of a house as my craft room once. Now I have a 4x3 work surface and a 6x6 work area. So that's what changed. Now we're going to do our sentiment, which we're going to use just like in the example, the cool. Very cool. It looks like denture or something, you know, looks like a, but no, that's the cool rainbow sentiment. So that one you do need a bigger block for. Not as big as that. My goodness. Let's just use this one. When you're worried about your stamps that are sentiments and they're kind of long and floppy, put them face so that the stamp, the part that's going to be stamped goes face down. Drop it and just let it relax itself. It'll get into its shape all naturally, and then you can just hit it and pick it up. Okay? Now, cool thing about slimline stamps being 6x6 is you can find the middle very easily. Grid paper or on your pad, whatever you use to measure your projects. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So 3 inches on each side puts us right here in the middle. I'm going to open up my card. There's my middle line. Let's, I don't know what the pink will look like on that green. It might look brown since red and green make brown. Pink and green might make brown. Let's do that again in the Night of Navy. All right, so pick that up. All right, again, find the center. Okay. And then where the center is there, I just visually find the center of my rainbow sentiment here and plop it down. Now don't rock your stamps. That's how you get those little edges, the ink that spilled over onto the edge of the stamp. That's from people rocking it. Don't rock it. Boom. Okay. Clean that off. I love Night of Navy. I really do love Stampin' Up's inks. They're good inks. I really do like them. I only have a couple brands of inks. I'm not a craft product hoarder. I wish I was. I would be if I had the room, not lying. But so I really only have inks from a couple brands, a couple companies that I really, really like. So this is a Stampin' Up video. So Stampin' Up got me on this one. All right, put my blocks away. Done with that. Okay, let's assemble our card. Now we've been playing with the flap a lot here, right? So we need to burnish that down again because it's got a little carried away. There we go. Now, here's the trick when it comes to putting your card together. First of all, I prefer liquid glue over a tape runner for putting layers down because it's forgiving. You can wiggle it around and get things into place where you want them. And the other thing is when you've embossed cardstock, when it's embossed on the top, it's debossed on the bottom, right? That's what pushed through. Well, liquid glues are going to sit on the surface of the back here, not fill in those little holes. So you're not going to get a full adhesion of this paper to your cardstock, what's going to happen is you'll notice that it would start to ripple a little bit. So to adhere embossed cardstock, I always use Matacky glue. Always, because it is thick, it will not slip. You can move it around till you get it into the spot you want, but it will fill in those holes. And it won't scoosh out, unless of course you use too much. It will still dry flat, so you can put it all over the back. See, I didn't use a lot. That's actually very flat. I just kind of smeared it around there. Okay, and then we'll just put that on. And what I do is figure out where I want it on one end and then slide it in, kind of slide it right into position there. And stick it down. See if everything looks good. And then to further get the glue into those debossed areas, you can set an acrylic block or a brick or whatever you want on it. I use a brayer and I smush it in. Smush, smush. Oh, there's a little bit popped out right there. No big, wiped it off. Smush, smush. I'm a smusher. All right. And it still dries just as fast as the liquid glue. So you can continue working on your project. And now it's time to add our little tags. So let's get our dimensionals here. Now these are made out of the designer paper. So they're very floppy, flimsy. Beautiful, but they're not sturdy. So here's my little tip for you. When you die cut pretty elements out of pretty paper, but it's very thin, well, all you gotta do is grab a scrap of whatever scrap you have. I keep a little packet of all my white cardstock scraps, and I'm gonna cut some, and I'm gonna put them on the backs of these little tags. And that's gonna make them sturdy because we're gonna add the dimensionals. And the dimensionals, unless you put your dimensionals over the entire surface, it's gonna kind of sag in the middle from the dimensionals. So you wanna create this to have like to be a very sturdy little embellishment here. So I just give it a little back. Give it some backbone right there. And that you can use your tape runner on, or you can use your liquid glue on. I like Elmer's Craft Bond Extra Strength Glue Stick for this, because when it dries stiff as a board. So these little guys are going to hold up great, and it dries fast. Okay, so now got the floppy. But this one, he not floppy. And that's what you want, because that's what we're going to add the dimensionals to. All right, so it's worth taking this extra step to get that strength onto the back of your embellishments. And we'll flip those over, and then we got this one. I mean, you know, if you're going through the effort to hand make something, go all the way, man. Think about this. Think about how Victorian Valentines and Victorian ephemera is still around today, because it wasn't made out of very thin paper. The paper that they had to make crafts out of was like tree paper. Like, it was thick cardstock paper. They did have tissue paper and crepe paper for decoration, but what they had for regular paper was really thick paper. And their glue, well, you know, we won't talk about what that was made out of, but it was a very sturdy glue. So that stuff held up through time, right? So you're doing the same thing here. You're creating heirlooms for people and things that they're going to have and pass down through generations, hopefully. All right, now you stick your dimensionals on the back. You want good coverage, or they will still, you don't want it to sag, right? So I'm going to put 4 on each one. If I didn't have that backing, I'd have to put like 7. I'd have to put 3 more in there. So this backing makes it all worth it. These are Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. They're a cool little hexagon shape. Okay, there we go. And then just pop off their backs, of course. I use tweezers. Some people can use their pokey tools. I haven't figured out how to do that well. I end up it just turns into an angry mess. So I just sit here and pick them off with the tweezers. Have not mastered the art of the pokey tool yet. Okay, there's that one, and then this one. All right, well, let's bring the tweezers back actually. So we want to start with our middle tag. That's the blue one here. Now I'm not gonna hold it. This is kind of delicate. There's still, see how floppy that is? So I'm gonna actually hold it by one of the middle rings. And again, because this is a 6x6 card, all we have to do is find center. And just make sure that the bottom and the top is even. See here? We're gonna make sure the bottom and the top is even and that it's basically in the center of the card. There you go. Then we're going to center the next tags in these sides. So we make sure that the width between the tag and the edge of the card is the same and the top and the bottom is the same. And you don't have to stick them down hard right now, just in case you jacked it up and didn't put them centered. You know, you can go back and smush those when you're done. There we go. Boom, done. There you go. Here is our example. Came out just as cute, but I love this one because it's colorful. Would you have any idea that we got this cool card out of a rainbow set? Exactly. So this is an idea of how to think outside the odd die shape. Okay, and again, now you're cool because now you're making slimline minis. That's right. Okay, I hope you guys learned some new tips and tricks off of this video. Please like it, share it, thumbs up it, and I will be loading up some more videos for you guys. So stay tuned. Thank you so much.